This is Jarrod Horak, and in this video I will discuss the pace scenario for the Preakness Stakes. And my Black-Eyed Susan Day and Preakness Day full cards are both complete, and if you're interested in my annual Triple Crown Series full cards, you'll find them at the runawayrhorse.com on my shop page. I had plenty of success with my Oaks and Derby Day full cards this year, and I've been covering full cards online since the late 1990s. The Preakness is my hometown race, and I've had plenty of success in the Preakness over the years. I shared my Oaks, Derby, and recent Preakness highlights in multiple videos recently, so you can check them out if you're interested. And I will share a link to my Runaway Horse Shop page in the video description below. Now let's recap the races that they ran at Pimlico on Thursday, see if we can see how the track was playing. Now for Thursday, they ran a 9-race program. The track was muddy and they were off the turf. It was cloudy for most of the day. We did have some peaks of sun later in the day. They ran a couple races at 5 furlongs, and front runners won both of those races. 6 furlongs. We had 3 races at 6 furlongs with 2 pressers and a front runner winning. The track got more fair the longer the races were, because at a mile and a 16th they ran 3 races. We saw a dueling front runner win. We saw a horse go last first in a 5-horse field, and we saw a stalker win the other race at a mile and a 16th. And then at a mile and an 1/8, one race, a presser won that event. So the weather forecast at Pimlico for Friday and Saturday, 14 race cards scheduled for both days. And for Friday, Black-Eyed Susan Day, a 40% chance of light rain with a high of 87. And for Preakness Saturday, light morning rain, 55% chance with a high of 88. With the rain chances and the humidity in the air, there's going to be a good probability that there will be some moisture in the track, and the turf course will be less than firm. Now we're going to look at the Preakness race shape. Is it going to be fast, honest, or slow? Now we're going to figure out which horses we think will be setting that pace, and if the late runners will have any kind of a chance in this race. So looking at the pace scenario, there are 3 horses that are projected to be most forwardly placed. And those horses are Goal-Oriented for trainer Bob Baffert from the inside post. Then we have American Promise for trainer D. Wayne Lucas. He will break from post 3. And then we have Clever Again for Steve S. Musson. He's going to break from post 8. Now, all 3 of these trainers have had success in the Preakness Stakes. Baffert's won the Preakness 8 times. Lucas has won it 7 times, and Musson has won the Preakness Stakes 2 times. So a lot of winners between those 3 trainers, and those 3 trainers have the horses with the most early speed. Now looking at how the post draw has affected the possible race shape, Goal-Oriented got the inside post, and that probably means he's going to try to go to the lead in here. It just makes sense. He's lightly raced. He's only had 2 starts. The last thing they're going to want to do is have him sitting down on the inside, possibly getting hemmed in behind a couple speed horses. They don't want to see American Promise get out there and Clever Again get out there, and then Goal-Oriented stuck behind them with the possibility of having journalism outside of him, hemming him in on the inside. So Goal-Oriented with that inside post will probably be the one that's most forwardly placed, possibly setting the pace in here. And American Promise kind of stuck between the other 2 speed horses, but he should be out there and attending the pace. Not sure if he's quick enough to get the early lead, but he will be forwardly placed. Then you have Clever Again. He is fast enough to get the lead, but he has post 8 with the 2 main speed horses, the other 2 horses that have speed, Goal-Oriented and American Promise, breaking in post 1 and 3. So for Clever Again and jockey Jose Ortiz, he's going to be able to see how the pace unfolds at the beginning. He may be able to just sit there and track those other 2 horses out in the clear in third. The question's going to be, is he going to be able to stretch out from a mile, chasing a couple horses, and be able to pass them when he's really been a front runner, and then hold off horses like Journalism? We're going to find that out. So overall, I don't think the pace is going to be a breakneck pace. I don't think we're going to have a pace collapse. And most likely a horse like Sandman, if you look at all of the pace ratings in this race, Sandman's pace ratings are much lower than any other entrant. So he's most likely going to have to rally from 9th and last in here if he expects to win. And his best chance of winning this race would be if we had a very fast pace and the front runners were not able to keep going, and then Journalism, for whatever reason, doesn't run his best race, and then Sandman's going to be able to pick up the pieces. Now, Sandman can hit the board in here, but he's still going to need pace help, because if the speed horses aren't going that fast, they're going to hang around a long time. We're probably going to see horses like Goal-Oriented and Clever Again maybe not come back to the field. And Sandman's going to need those horses to come back to the field if he expects to go last to first in here. And now some other horses with the pace, River Thames for trainer Todd Pletcher. He has some tactical speed, so he won't be too far off the lead. Hey, Billy as well. He should be tracking the pace. And then Gosger on the outside. He's going to have to work out some kind of trip. He's 20-1 morning line. He's had 3 lifetime starts. He's improving, but he's going to have to work out a trip. He doesn't want to get caught really wide in here. I don't think that a horse like Gosger is going to be able to overcome a wide trip, wide throughout, and beating all of these other horses. At some point, he's going to need to tuck in somewhat and save some sort of ground and not be hung out 4 wide throughout. So that brings us to journalism, and he's a horse that he's obviously the favorite in this race. He's the most accomplished horse on paper. He's got multiple graded stakes wins, 2 grade 2 victories in the Los Al Futurity and the San Felipe Stakes, and a grade 1 win in the grade 1 Santa Anita Derby, and then in the Kentucky Derby he was second. So he has by far the strongest resume in this race, and he's very consistent. He always runs his race, and he's versatile. So that's the key. He's a favorite that has a running style versatility. He doesn't need the lead. He doesn't need a fast pace in here. He hasn't really set the pace in his races, but he's very capable of being much closer to the pace than he was in the Kentucky Derby. His trainer, Michael McCarthy, is on record as saying he would have liked to have been much closer in the Derby, but early on, the first 100 yards or so, he was bumped around a bit, jostled around, looking for position, and that happens a lot in a 20-horse field. But after that, he was able to settle in nicely, but he was back in 10th. But McCarthy was thinking that maybe he could have been as close as 6th. And I don't know that he would have really been wanting to be too much closer to the pace, because most of the horses that were very forwardly placed were not around at the end in the Kentucky Derby. The horse that hung around the best, Owen Almighty, ended up finishing 5th. He was up on the pace. But journalism was much further ahead of Sovereignty and Baeza, the horses that finished 1st and 3rd in the Kentucky Derby. And those horses definitely were helped by the pace, and journalism was too. He was sitting back in 10th, but the other 2 were back in 15th and 14th, I believe. And they were rallying, and Sovereignty was able to follow journalism. Good ride by Junior Alvarado. He was just able to follow journalism and stay close enough to him and not let journalism get that big jump on him. But I think this time, Reese Bully's going to want journalism to be closer to the pace, and he doesn't want to get stuck inside. But I can definitely see this race playing out with goal-oriented, possibly setting the pace, American Promise and Clever Again, not too far behind, and then journalism just sitting there a few lengths behind in 4th, just waiting to pounce and waiting for some clear running room. And I think Reese Bully's probably going to want to get him out and into the clear so he can take over and maybe get the jump on a horse like Sandman, who's going to be coming much later than journalism is. So I think journalism's going to be much closer to the pace in here. I think the pace is going to be honest, but I don't think it's going to be breakneck. And goal-oriented does have a chance, or Clever Again. I think they're the 2 most likely horses. If one of those 2 get loose, I can see one of those horses possibly trying to steal the race. Otherwise, journalism's just going to be parked right there behind them, and he would be able to get the first run tracking the pace, because he's very versatile. He's handy. He's got good late pace ratings overall as well. So that combination of his positional speed in this 9-horse field with his decent closing kick probably will be enough to get the job done. But I don't discount the chances of a goal-oriented or a Clever Again wire-to-wire winner in this race. Now, American Promise will have to pick it up. He was 16th in the Kentucky Derby. He'll have to run much better. He did run a good race in the Virginia Derby, but that race was below par, because even though he earned a decent speed rating, that was around 1 turn, and all the horses that came out of the Virginia Derby have all come back and run below par in their next starts, including American Promise in that Kentucky Derby. So then you have a horse like Heart of Honor. I think he'll be coming from off the pace, but I think it's really going to set up for either one of the front runners, goal-oriented or Clever Again. They seem like the 2 best front runners. If one of those horses can get loose, possibly wiring the field, and then you have journalism right behind them, tracking the pace and getting the first run. So I think those 3 horses, probably one of those scenarios will play out. And then a much less likely scenario is Sandman rallying from last and winning. But if the pace is at least honest, I can definitely see Sandman hitting the board and running much better than he did in the Kentucky Derby. So that'll do it for my look at the pace scenario for the Preakness Stakes this year. And don't forget to like, comment, and share these videos if you like them. Subscribe to my channel as well. It's free to subscribe. We're over 160,000 views now. Each video I update it, we get more views. But we're over 160,000 views for the last 28 days. So the channel continues to grow. I have a lot of content on here for the Preakness this year. I'm going to be doing a lot of Belmont Stakes content as well. I have video shorts from Santa Anita, my short videos where I just give a horse of the day at Santa Anita each day that they run. I do handicapping videos, all kinds of stuff on my channel. So keep checking my channel each day. I have new content up each day. And until I see you next time, good luck at the races.